business? Like many of us, I'm sure you're feeling it. Business is hard, and now more than ever, you need to have a plan to help your business not just survive, but thrive. I'm Marcia Reiner. I'm a growth business strategist. I've helped tons of small business owners to establish and implement a tangible plan that guarantees increased profitability, guides your growth, and plans for your future exit. Because a business worth selling is a business worth owning. I want to share these strategies that I've earned and learned with you on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. But before we get started, I have something to share with you. I've got 5 ways to turn your business into one worth selling. Go pick that up on my website at trajectorybiz, that's biz.com. So I'm really excited to have my guest with me today, Heather Cox. Heather is a business executive, seminar director, renowned public speaker, and marketing professional whose tireless advocacy for diversity helps make the business world more closely resemble the real world. She is the co-founder of Certify My Company, and based on her own frustrating experiences competing in the Women's Business Enterprise certification process, I can get my mouth word, something that opened her eyes, challenged facing small, diverse businesses. Expert guidance is critical and highly sought after in this space, thus leading her to launch her own enterprise. Certify My Company is a national leader in transforming Fortune 1000 supplier diversity programs into profit centers, as well as empowering diverse businesses to meet their full potential through certification and increased market visibility. Entrepreneurs are always looking for business development opportunities through new and existing clients alike. Being diversity certified thus not only puts you in front of thousands of diversity certified businesses, but also Fortune 1000 community. But despite this clear-cut advantage, many business owners simply aren't aware of what diversity certification is and how drastically it can boost their practices. As president of Certify My Company, Heather partners with diverse businesses, assists with all aspects of certification. Her efforts help companies of all shapes and sizes increase their visibility in supplier markets and connect certified businesses with corporations eager to do business with them. She takes pride in educating corporations about diversity practices and collaborates with managers of supply diversity programs to help them achieve their diversity goals, including a seat at the billion-dollar roundtable. Wow, if I say diversity one more time, my tongue's gonna just flip around and fall out of my mouth. But wow, it's so true. Heather, welcome to Profit with a Plan.
Thanks. So fun. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so we were talking the other day, and I just think that this is such an important topic that not all businesses think about, but they should.
Yeah.
And that's the idea of diversity in all levels. Explain to me what diversity really means.
Yeah, to your point, it's so true. I can't tell you how many times I've been at entrepreneurial events, whether it be on stage or just kind of wandering around chatting with people, and they have no idea about this diversity world, about the certification, about what it involves. They immediately think government, they immediately think grants, and really there are components to that, but that's not what we specialize in. And so it's always exciting for me to share, no, totally different. Let me help you understand what it is. So when it comes to what diversity is and what we're going to talk about is really supplier diversity versus the diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is we hear a lot about, especially right now, is the buying of goods and services from companies that are owned, operated, and controlled by women, ethnic minorities, LGBT individuals, disabled individuals, or veterans.
Nice.
And that's really the most simplistic way to understand it.
I love it. And most businesses don't think about purchasing their supplies from those kind of companies. But honestly, let's take a step back. They're not even aware of the diverse community within their own business, their own employee management, or the community that they're involved with. And that's why I think that this is such a fantastic topic, even if we're talking about supply diversity, but the diversity as a whole. And I think that that's so important to reflect your business, because there's a lot of benefits to it, right?
Oh yeah. And one of the ways to think about it is a 3-legged stool. Most people understand why you have to have a diverse client base. They understand you can't just have one demographic, because then at a certain point you're going to cap out of who you can service. And most people get why you have to have a diverse employee base because they realize that you want your customers to see themselves within your company. But
Correct.
they forget about the supplier side. But your suppliers bring to you ideas. They bring to you clients. They bring to you, your customers and your employees. So it's a really important component of that three-legged stool. And you can't maximize those revenues until you have all of those three legs.
So true. And that is the goal of business, is to increase revenue, have
Yes.
consistent and increasing revenue. But I love the idea that you're talking about how the suppliers can actually bring clients to you.
Oh,
How
yeah.
is that? How is that?
I mean, think about a lot of the services or a lot of the okay, here's a perfect example. So think about your iPhone, right? Now, I'm not speaking for Apple. I'm not like an Apple employee or anything. Like, we'll get all the legal little barriers out of the way, right? But like our talk to text, or even like the fonts that some of us have to increase periodically year after year, right? Those were all brought to them by somebody who needed that service, by somebody who was like, I can't see, because maybe they were most likely vision impaired. So oftentimes there'll be a supplier that says, hey, we're working on this program for you, we're working on this software for you, or whatever it is. I'd like to introduce this idea. Now, it may have not been something that was thought about internally. It may have been, right? But it's because it was a needed service by somebody who's working on your product. And so because of that, though, we all benefit from it, right? And there
Mm.
are so many examples. Like, I can't tell you how many people use the talk to text, whether it's appropriate or not. They're using the talk to text everywhere you go. And that's because there was somebody who needed that service. Okay. And there's a lot of other components that we don't even think about, even like the sidewalk, the dips in the sidewalk. That was not there originally. It was really brought to them because someone said, this would make it so much easier for somebody in a wheelchair with a stroller to get onto the sidewalk. So that's how customers come to you. So now people who need that product, that larger font or that accessibility feature have it. So they have brought you new customers that may have not
Mm.
come to you otherwise because of this new component to what you're offering them.
Oh, that's brilliant. See, of course, we can only think about the lane that we're in and not
Exactly.
the other areas. Sorry, I have a little tickle in my nose. We were also talking about horrific allergies going on right
Oh,
now.
I know.
So
And you're like, I have this
if
like one little strand of hair that's trying to tickle my nose as you were
ah,
tickling yours. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna join her.
that's so funny. But yeah, so okay, so we talked about diversity and how that really adds benefits to it. Um, when we're talking about having those programs in our business, and we're being more accessible and active in that role, how do we get that out to the community? How do we communicate that to our, maybe our buyers that aren't necessarily needing that at the moment, but we want to showcase that?
So we're going to go backwards in it for just a second, because a lot of people will say, like, well, why do these large Fortune 100, Fortune 1000 companies even want to do business with suppliers? They must get like grants or tax write-offs. And no, what it comes down to is they make more money, because to your point, that's what for-profit businesses are for, right? They are there, they are in business to make money.
Who would have
So
thought?
like, I know. So the same thing, like if you go into a Walmart or a Target and you can find these products, like there's a reason they're getting new shoppers into these companies, is because they have products that may have not been there before, right? So back to the first
Got
question.
it.
So the same thing with that. So so a lot of times the buyers in a company, they're not really the ones looking for it. That's why we have these positions called supplier diversity managers. And the supplier diversity managers in the Fortune 1000 companies, their role is to find qualified, capable suppliers, vendors, whether they be for goods or services, who are also diversity certified.
Mm.
So it's not a magic wand. It's not like, here's my certification and they're just going to start waving you in, right? You have to perform. You have to be just as good.
Right.
So what you can do though is, if you have a customer who you may have mentioned to them, oh, I'm diversity certified, or does your company have a program for diverse businesses? And they're like, I don't know. You may have to do a little bit of research and bring it to them, because people tell me all the time, oh, that company doesn't care that I'm a diverse supplier. And I'll know for a fact, because oftentimes they're my own client as well, that they do care, but the person that they're talking to,
Mm.
it may not be important to them. So sometimes you have to bring it to them. Oh, well, I found it on your website, or I saw that you guys were, was a goal to be part of the $1 billion roundtable. So I know that it's important to the company. I'd love to make sure that everybody that needs to know knows about it. So it does take a little bit of partnership, which is what you really want to think about your clients as, right? Your partners. They don't want to feel like transactional vendors, just like you don't want to feel like a transactional vendor. So how can you partner? How can you bring the most benefit to them doing business with you?
I love it. I love it. See, this is such an eye-opening thing for people that maybe weren't thinking about it in the terms of how you're bringing in products to your business or services to your business,
Yeah,
and that everything's changing in the way that you're delivering your products and services to your customers,
right.
and then how your customers are now seeing you as a diverse certified company. I
Yeah.
like it. I
Yeah,
like it.
and I mean, if there's one little shiny, sequiny glimmer of excitement that came from 2020, right, and these last
Woo!
18 months, is that companies, consumers, and communities in general really realized in a very painful way how unbelievably, incredibly important small and diverse businesses are to not only their communities and their where they live, but to the supply chain. The reason that it's impossible to get some things and that there's a car shortage and there was a this shortage and a that shortage is because the
Toilet paper.
supply chain, toilet paper, it's because there was a supply chain issue, right? Because
Right.
everyone was trying to shrink their supply chain. Now they're like, whoa, that may have not been the best idea in the long run. Because when it came down to it, the small and diverse suppliers went above and beyond. And I have so
Mhm.
many stories about companies who really made a difference to their clients and demonstrated themselves as a partner and not just a transactional vendor to their clients to show them how important it is to continue to maintain. Because I will say that one thing that small and diverse businesses do better than anybody else, other than any large company, is they focus on their expertise.
Mm.
They know what they're good at, and that's what they focus on. So that's why a lot more small businesses are niche, right? Because they focus on what they're really good at. They're not trying to pretend to be something they're not.
Yes, you
They
can't
focus on what
compete
they're
with a
good at.
Walmart or Costco.
Right.
You have to stay in your lane. I love
Yes.
that. But you also talked about opportunity. And opportunity, in a shifting market comes to those that are specialized and experts.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
if they have that diversity level, that puts them to a different level as well, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, here's how I describe the certification. And for those people who don't know what certification is, like, we can take a step back in just a minute because
Yeah,
I
let's
talk
talk
because
about that.
I have like drank the Kool-Aid to the brim. And so
No, you
sometimes I
didn't.
forget that not everybody has knows what supply diversity is. But, within these categories, we talked about women, ethnic minorities, LGBT, veteran, disabled. Anyone can say they're anything, right? I can be like, I'm the
Right.
princess of XYZ, but without like, some kind of proof, right? Is anyone really going to believe me? So there are third party certifying bodies who say, yes, this company is who they say they are beyond a shadow of doubt. And they are taking responsibility for
Mm.
you for saying that, yes, we have vetted them. We have looked through all their documentation very invasively, I might add, about to prove that you really are owned, operated, and controlled by one of those demographics. So once you've done that, then that is kind of your hunting license. That's your ability to go in and say, hey, this is who I am. That's what gets you invited into the side door, right? Because we can knock on those front doors over and over again. Hey, do business with me. Hey, do business with me. Hey, I'm amazing. Trust me, you will want to do business with me if you will give me 5 minutes. Right.
Mm.
And they're
Right.
like, we don't want any. Like, no, I
Right.
promise you want some. You just have to know what you're not paying attention to. There's a side door, that supplier diversity door, with a supplier
Oh.
diversity manager that's like, yeah, come in, let's chat. Their role is to say, like, are you able, okay, are you qualified? Are you capable to do business with this company that I am representing? If
Mm.
you are, then they will do an internal introduction to the person inside their company, which is gold, right? Like that's what we
Yes.
all want in valuable
Yes.
information. That internal
Yeah.
introduction to the person inside their company to say, yes, you should meet this person. Now, once you're there, you gotta sell like any other sale you will ever do. Okay.
Right.
Because that person their decision has to be made on what's the best supplier for their company. Then if it's you and somebody else and they're like, oh, these companies are both so good, how are we ever going to choose between company A and company B? That's where that diversity certificate will tip the scales in your favor. So
Love it.
that's really the benefit of it. So there are opportunities galore, both on the business development side, but also the company development side. And to your point, your whole introduction, right, is about you have to have a business that's in a position.
Yeah.
Whatever that position is you want to, whether it be to sell, whether it be to join forces with somebody else, whatever it is, your company has to be in the right position. And so
Yes.
by taking advantage of some of the company development opportunities that these certification organizations offer, it can help you put your company into those positions.
Okay, so let me talk about the elephant in the room right now.
Okay.
So when we talk about diversity, so many people can fit into that category if they have an expert that can show them what opportunities there are. All except for the one, right?
Which one?
The white male, I mean,
Yes
but is
and
there
no.
any
Yes and
way, is
no.
there
Yeah.
any way for him to participate in this diversity program?
Yeah, I mean, there's veterans, there's white male veterans, there's white male LGBT, there's white male small businesses, right? But the trick
Okay,
about
good.
this, the diversity certification is that it has to be owned, operated, and controlled. So it can't be someone just owns the company. It has to be the full circle has to be covered.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for saying that, because I'm sitting here going, somebody's listening on
Oh
the
yeah.
outside going, well, hell, that means I can't get anything and I'm going to be kicked to the curb, right? But that's
Not
not
if you're
so.
good. Yeah, not if
Not if
you're
you're good.
good, right?
Good.
You have
Love
to
to hear that.
continually do. Look, there's always incumbents, right? And sometimes there's a reason they're an incumbent, and sometimes it's out of pure laziness of the procurement team. Okay.
Yes.
Sometimes the reason they're the incumbent is because they're really good and they continually bring benefits to their customer. If that's the case, Mr. White, straight, non-veteran, non-disabled male, then you're pretty safe. But if you've been resting on your laurels, you better watch out, right?
Right.
But that's all of us. Okay. I don't care if you're diverse or not. If you're resting on your laurels, you better watch out because somebody's coming for you. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why you have to continually be bettering yourself. How can you be a
Love it.
better leader, a better business, right? But that's any business owner.
Right. So how does one, okay, let's go through the certifying process. How does one really truly, you mentioned they go through, they open up look at your business and they go pretty deep on it, but what does that really mean? Are they looking at any kind of financial records?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so
Okay.
tell
The
me about what it
kimono
takes.
open wide. They're like, yeah, they're open and wide open this one. So, okay, so it's everything because they want to look at ownership, operation, and control. They need to see the financial documents. They're looking at tax returns. They're looking at contracts, lease agreements. They want to see your resume as well, right?
Mm,
People used to say, like, well, can I turn in a bio? A bio is much more easily manipulated just to demonstrate what you're trying to say versus an actual chronological resume. So I want to see your
right.
which is, by the way, the document that entrepreneurs hate the most, right?
The
Is a resume.
resume.
Because they're like,
Oh my God,
I've
you
been
don't know
20
you don't know what I've been doing, I've been, side hustling and doing all these other things to keep my dream going, because our
Absolutely.
business is our dream.
Our
So,
babies, right?
yeah, right.
Exactly.
Totally. Okay,
So
so they
yeah,
go in.
they go in and they're going to review everything. And then once you have all the documents, and it's about 85 to 100 documents that they request. Now, they don't all pertain to you, which is why working with a consultant like Certify My Company is so important if time if time is important to you. Now, some people have unlimited time, then great. Okay. But for those of you who know what their time is worth, it may be worth it for you to outsource the process.
Got it. Got it.
And so then, we can whittle that list down for you.
And when you're doing it, how long how long should you expect? See, there goes my mouth again. How long should you expect it to take from the application process through the actual certification?
So it really depends on every company, but I will give you an estimate because I polled our single owner companies that had the least amount of variables involved, and they tend to be the simplest, if you will, versus having to double check 2, 3, 5, 10 owners of a company, or
Right.
if there's trust agreements, or there's institutional investors, all the other components of business ownership. So our single owner companies, I polled them and I said, how long do you think this process would have taken you if you didn't hire Certify My Company? And the answer, the average was 26 hours. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So for those of
Okay.
you who know what your time is worth, you can do the math yourself on this, right? And then I
Yes.
asked them, how long did you actually have to spend on it because you invested in Certify My Company? And the average was 2 hours.
Wow. Okay.
That's 24 hours difference. Now, from the time you submit your
That's three
application,
typical working days, or actual working days,
right?
Yeah.
So from the time you submit your completed application and have all their questions answered, it takes about 90 to 120 days for the private sector certifications. Now, some people are going to go after state certifications. Now, those take anywhere from 90 days to 3 years to complete. So you always want to be certified before you need it, because once you need it, it's probably too late.
Gotcha. And then what kind of certifications do I need? So you said private sector certification, state certification. Is there a national certification on top of that?
So the national certification are those big five we talked about: the WeBank, the NMSDC, the NGLCC, the Disability, and then the NVBDC. It's also NAVOBA for the veterans as well.
Acronym hell, girl.
I
Okay,
know, all over, right? So
so put
WeBank.
those in kind of English.
Okay, so WeBank is the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. They certify women business enterprises that are owned, operated, and controlled by women. NMSDC is the National Minority Supplier Development Council, and they certify ethnic minorities: Black, Hispanic, Asian Indian, Asian Pacific, and Native American. Then there's Disability In, which certifies companies that are owned, operated, and controlled by a person or people with a disability. And then there is NVBDC, which is the National Veterans Business Development Council, which certifies veterans. And then there is NGLCC, which is the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, and they certify LGBT owned, operated, and controlled businesses.
Thank you for putting that in English for us.
So, to answer your question now, yeah.
When you get into these acronyms, people, it's easy because you do it.
Know.
But if you're on the outside and you're just pulling open the curtain to see what it looks like, you know, you want to be familiar with the acronyms, or at least have kind of an idea of what that is.
It is true.
That's really great, because my son right now, I have a 19-year-old son, and he's off on his first tour in the Marines. And I'm also part of the Veterans Legal Institute's Board of Governors. So we want to help veterans. And then I joined because of my son and my father. But it's like, that's so important that they know that there's an organization that can help them for everything that they've done or gone through, or are diverse people, everything that they've done or have gone through, or who they are, that there's a way that you can get some help.
Yeah, well, there's actually two veteran organizations. And yeah, I mean, not to be political, as a country, we just definitely need to step up a little bit more for our veterans. My sister is an active duty in the Army as well.
Nice.
So when people come back, though, you know, some of the positions they have are very transferable to the public sector. Some of them are not, right? So it's a matter of, you know, and so unfortunately, our veterans are one of the highest unemployed groups in the country. Now, that being said, veteran-owned businesses hire more veterans than any other company out there, as well as, I know Disney has a great veteran employment program, and so does Lowe's, companies like that. But, you know, our veteran entrepreneurs are really good about hiring the other veterans.
Yeah.
And so NAVOBA, which is the National Veteran-Owned Business Association, is the other veteran organization. And the two, so NVBDC and NAVOBA, both work to promote the doing business with veterans in the private sector out there. Now, we you know, the government also has programs, but it really depends on who your target audience is, because that's one of the questions we get is, who should we get certified through? The state, the this, the that. You know, there are a plethora of certification options. You can spend your whole life, your whole bank account, not the plan of attack. I typically, you know,
advise, right?
But if you want to do business with the Fortune 1000, then you want those private sector certifications. If you want to do business with us, with the state of New York, well, then you need that state of New York certification. So one of the first things we do with any potential client is determine which certification or certifications will best impact their business.
Right.
You want to make sure you're having the ROI on whatever you're spending money on. You want to make sure it's the right one for your business.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit then. What is something like that? What should a single owner company, if they're going for, you know, one of the Fortune 100, Fortune 1000 opportunities, what should someone expect in cost?
Yeah. So, well, you know, the certification application for all we'll call them the big five organizations we talked about, really is based on your gross. Most of them are based on your gross annual sales. So it's under a million is 350, 1 to 5 million is 550, 5 to 10 million is 750, and above 10 million is around 1200. It is
so nominal.
Very nominal considering what you get. Now, do not expect to, you know, get certified and $1 million contracts are rain from the sky. You do need to put in, you know, some time, because those supplier diversity managers we talked about, there are your internal advocates, but they need to like, know, and trust you like any other sale out there, because they're going to be sticking their neck out for you, both for themselves, but also if you mess this up, you might mess it up for a bunch of other diverse suppliers out there. So make sure that you are, you know, that you are really ready to do business with them. And if they ask you, can you do this? Be honest. Yeah.
Yes. So true. And a lot of us, a lot of us believe that we can do it, but really do it,
Right.
and then there's others that go out there and they're like, oh, if I can do 20% of it, sure, I can do that. Not a problem. I'll figure it out as I go along. But I
Right.
love that. Be honest
Be
about it.
honest. Because you can
Yeah,
always think, because
because
the whole point of the
your
relationship is
repu
you can, yeah, like right now I can't do it, but get back to me in a year because maybe I can in a year.
so how do we get once we get certified and once we, feel confident that we can do what we're going to say we can do, we have the backing, everything's in there. How do we get in those relationships with those internal diversity managers?
And that is the benefit of those private sector organizations is they have events that you can go to and you can
Ah,
walk
networking.
right up, networking right up to that person. Now, obviously, the last 18, 20 months have been a little difficult for us in-person event goers, but they've had some, virtual events. And also, you can find them online. Once you're certified to these organizations, you actually have access to the contact information of these
Mm,
people. So you can
wow.
reach out directly to them and say, hey, I found you as part of WeBank or NMSDC. This is what we do. I just read an article that you guys are doing X, Y, and Z, and here's how I think we can help. By the way, I'm a certified diverse supplier. I'd love to connect with you.
Love it. Love it. I am so excited. I'm in the process, and that's how we ended up coming together. I'm in the process of getting my women-owned business certification, and
Yeah.
I know it's a process and it takes a little while. But this is such an opportunity for so many people in the
Yes.
community
Yes.
to really get that leg up and provide, the side door opening. I think that
Yes.
this is truly something to really shine about. And the SBA, they love diverse businesses, they love small
Small
businesses, and if they can
businesses.
find any way to help you, they will. And with this kind of certification, that gives you one more
Yeah.
tool in your toolbox to get that kind
Yes.
of help. So I just love this, Heather. This is so great. Where can listeners find out more about you and how to get this whole thing done? And please tell us everything.
Yeah. So if there's anything I didn't answer yet, or you're just like really not sure if it's something that's right for you, or for not, you can reach out to me at heather@certifymycompany.com. I also have tons of articles on LinkedIn. My Instagram, my Twitter is all Certify My Co. You can find us there. There's lots of information out there. So please reach out, because only 1% of the diverse businesses out there are even certified, which means there is
Jeez.
so much opportunity to be had.
Wow,
I
so
know.
true. I didn't realize that. I guess the challenge is they didn't realize that
Exactly.
either. The opportunities
Exactly.
that could be opened up, the benefits. And then now let's talk about free money. Holy cow, you can get in line for grants, you can get SBA financing, you can do so much more to grow your business by just taking this one little step, right?
I mean, I'm sure grants are not our sweet spot by any means, but like just in general, I mean, unless you think like, well, I don't want to do business with the Fortune 1000, don't worry about it, because there's tens of thousands of other certified diverse businesses that want to do business with you, because
Yes.
no matter what size you are, what part of the ecosystem you're in, there is an opportunity for you.
Yeah, and I think that's a valuable part. You don't, like you said, you don't have to be big and going for the Fortune 1000
No.
companies, but because you're a diverse certified company and they're a diverse certified company,
Yes.
their eyes are open, your eyes are open, and you're like, "Oh,
Yep.
let's get together," right?
Absolutely.
And let's get together over there, and the opportunities go. So I love this, Heather. Thank you so much for coming on today. This has been super
Absolutely.
valuable. I think listeners, gosh, you have better found an idea or two to put into your business to help you be more profitable. And I think this is the tool for a lot of us to just to stand out, right? We're in a red ocean of just everybody doing similar items. But if you can step up
Exactly.
and get this certification, it's a great opportunity. So
Absolutely.
awesome. So don't forget, now more than ever, it's important to have your own profit plan. This should be part of your profit plan. Don't forget to pick up my 5 ways to turn your business into one we're selling right now. This is another lever in that tool that will make your business more attractive and more stronger. So go check it out at my website at trajectorybiz, that's biz.com. And Heather and I would love to hear your feedback. Give us some questions, hit us up with your comments or your experiences with your diverse company,
Yeah.
and we will respond back on this. So don't forget to comment and subscribe so that way you can catch next week's show. And as always, you can catch Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players. We're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, Heather.